What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome. This is Lord Petey here to give you a little bit of our weekly insight for Mythic Pluses and what to do about them. This upcoming week, we're going to have some really cool affixes that are coming up, and I want to make sure you all know about them. Now, first of all, make sure you hit that subscribe button here to see when we're going to be posting all of our really cool videos and everything that's really cool that's going to be happening. So I want to make sure you end up doing that. Now, on top of that, these are what our affixes are going to be. So the affixes this week are going to be tyrannical, storming, raging. Now, if you're asking yourself, what are those? Tyrannical means bosses are going to have more health and going to deal more damage. Storming, which is going to be those little spinning tornadoes that are going to be happening every single time you pull one of those one of your mob packs. And then your raging, which is non-boss enemies are going to, they're going to enrage 30%, which means you cannot CC them or you cannot interrupt them. So you're going to have a little bit of an issue there. So what is that going to mean for you in the long term? Now, it means your tanks are going to have to be really aware of every single pull they're going to end up doing. You don't want to pull too much because you're going to get a lot of raging, which means you're not going to be able to CC them or you're not going to be able to interrupt them. And this season, there's a lot of interrupts that are necessary. You got to be really careful of that. Now, your healers, you're going to be getting a lot of damage on those boss mobs. So even though you're going to be able to pull your packs faster than you do this week, you're still going to be doing a lot of damage overall. So think about it this way: you're not going to be able to CC stuff because of the raging, which is going to cause all those mobs are going to be able to do more damage, which means your healers are going to have to be healing more, even though they're going to be dying quicker. They're going to be healing a lot more than that. And then on top of that, you're going to have to deal with a lot of your non-boss enemies, which are going to be ending up taking more damage there. So be careful of that. And then people are always going to hit with your storm. So melee, please be careful of storming. You're going to get hit. You're going to get knocked around. You're going to get hurt by it. Please be careful. Tanks, if you have to absorb some, absorb some. They really are helpful to the rest of the group. Be aware of that. So a little thing there. So quick, really talk, a little rundown of our, our dungeons throughout the whole entire week. Waycrest Manor, be really aware of that tree boss. He's going to be doing a lot more damage than normal. Also, you're going to not have much room to move with the storming. So be really careful of those because the hallways are really going to be hurting you there. So really take a moment to think about how you're going to pull there and, be aware of those. So take your time, think about how you're going to pull those. Kind of take, a second when you're going to be pulling larger groups, how those are going to work. So be careful there. Uh, Black Rook Hold, very similar. You're going to have very small hallways. You're going to have very large group packs that you're going to be forced to pull. Careful of there. You have a lot of casters and a lot of frontals there. So be careful there. Oh, Waycrest Manor. Interrupt. Careful of those packs with those interrupts. It's going to be so much problems. So be careful there. Black Rook Hold. Be careful of how you're going to be ending up pulling stuff there. You're going to have your problems with your with a couple of those bosses that are already really hit hard. Uh, I'm pretty sure that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. The first boss is going to be really annoying because he hits a little harder than normal because of the tyrannical, and he's just going to have a lot of mobs to kill. So you got to be careful of those, or the bursting on that is going to cause a lot of damage there. So be careful of that. On top of that, you're I think it's the third boss, the one that does the charge. He does a lot of damage, and he's going to have a lot more health. So he's going to take a lot longer to die. So be careful of there. All right. So Throne of the Tides. Throne of the Tides. The bosses there are not fun. The first boss you're going to really encounter, that's going to have all the ads that are going to fall down. That's going to be a real pain in the butt to deal with. When you're ending up pulling around the packs for for the for the second boss, that's going to be really hard and annoying to deal with. So be careful pulling those, and be careful with that boss because you need lots of space. Third boss, He's not going to be too bad. I wouldn't really worry about him so much. And then the last boss, the he's just going to take a long time to die. So be really, really careful of where you're doing and what you're doing with those mobs and tools when you drop them. Be careful. Uh, Everbloom. Excuse me, my cold still isn't 100%, but my voice has come back a lot more. As for Everbloom, now Everbloom is going to be a little bit of a problem because you're going to have a lot of large packs and there's a lot of casters there. So be really aware of that. Be aware of your pulls. Be aware of how that's operating. But as long as you end up pulling, everything kind of smoothly and quickly, you should be okay there. Be careful of storming. That's going to be hard there to deal with. That third boss is going to be a pain because people just have huge problems with dealing with those mobs. So be really aware of that. Excuse me. Dark Heart Thicket. Dark Heart Thicket, you're going to have those. The problem with there is that a lot of the bosses, they hit really hard. So Tyrannical is going to really come into effect. The last boss, the first boss, uh, even the second and third one, all of them really are hard there. So I think that is going to be one of the hardest dungeons of the week. I think that is really going to be looked at. You're going to be doing lots of pull packs. You're going to have that fear group right before the third boss, which is going to be, second boss, which is really, really annoying and hard to deal with. So beware of that there. Atoltazar. Atoltazar, you're going to have to be aware of that. Um, so you have lots of group packs there. And you have a decent amount of casters. But overall, I don't think it's too bad. Now that I'm kind of taking a moment to think about it, it's probably going to be one of your better dungeons, except for the last boss. That last boss, man, he really, really hurts. Hopefully, you've picked up enough gear this week to compensate for last week. We ended up going in there and we had somebody solo the last boss. We had a DK just let DK just be able to solo heal that last boss because he really really hurts. Uh, the racking pains, and I think that's something you really should be aware of. Other than that, I think that is a pretty smooth and easy dungeon, so be careful there. Dawn of Infinites, you have Fall on the Rise portion of it. So with Fall, you know, being the first half, the bosses there are a little bit harder in my personal opinion. You know, the first boss, he's not too bad with the jumps. You know, you might run out of little bit of space, but you can end up working with it and get that done. That's not too bad. Second boss, a lot of people have problems with that over time because they take unnecessary damage from the floating orbs around the room. You got to be aware of that. As for third boss, which is the dragons, the hardest part there is the kickback or knockbacks with the tornadoes. So be really, really careful there. That's really, really hard for healers to deal with. Veritacron, other than it just taking a long time, it's just one of those fights where you have to be on top of your games and your healers have to be really, really on point. So be aware of that. Rise. Uh, First boss, he just really, really hurts. He does a decent amount of damage to your tanks. So be careful there. As for the excuse me. As for the next, Morchi, annoying as long as you're strong and where you're going. That really goes through easy. The next boss is probably harder than Morchi this week. He does just a lot of damage with that tornado. He's a lot faster than he could be. You got to be careful there. The last boss isn't too hard. He's just takes a really long time to do. Very mechanic. To be careful. I think that's pretty much it. Overall, I think this week is going to be one of the harder weeks to deal with. So be careful of that. And as always, when we're talking about stuff, we're talking about stuff between around the 20 range. I mean, we're not going super crazy with our keys. What we do, we're one of the what I like to call one of the average players, and we like to do enjoy. So once again, thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure you are using our merch store. There is a sale this whole month, so make sure you end up getting your Lord PeteyTV merch there. We appreciate the support and love. Thank you so much. As always, use Lord PeteyTV on your checkout for sub 2R. If you're using those amazing gamer glasses, mounts, any of that, Lord PeteyTV. If you're using our amazing merch here for our Rogue Energy drinks. So thank you all very much. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you all soon. Thank you all for hanging out. I love you all, and I'll see you. Have a fantastic week. Luck on your vaults. See you all soon. Bye, everybody.